Hello everybody and welcome, this is Kat and today we are drawing something special. We are doing some tiny humans because I have no experience with that and it would be fun to struggle. So grab a pencil and a paper and let's struggle together. The first tiny human of the day would be a baby. I decided to go with this sketch because I thought, well, babies are easy. They are kind of roundish and blobbish, so it wouldn't be that much of a challenge to draw them. Their heads are big, their bodies are small, so it wouldn't be much of a problem to try and get the proportions right. I did use a reference picture for this one, but keep in mind that the following sketches that I'm gonna make are purely my own, just because I was in a good mood and I just had a spark of imagination and I just went along and freestyled everything else. It is quite rare for me to have a mental image of what I want to draw and actually be able to draw it without a reference or just simply have some ideas of what I want to draw. I usually do have to research and look up images and things that inspire me. But the universe was in harmony and the stars were all aligned and I had this surge of inspiration and felt courageous enough to just go along and sketch without actually referencing. I'm happy I did that in retrospect because it turned out quite okay, surprisingly okay actually, but this was definitely the exception, not the rule, so I wouldn't count on it to happen again. Oh, let's see if I can draw a pose that's a bit more dynamic, maybe a kid running around or playing with the ball, you know, something that revolves around movement. Something I really struggled with during the sketching session was getting the characters to fit in the page or on the area of the page where I was drawing them. For some reason, I just misplaced every single one of them and they ended up either not fitting or overlapping with other characters and I had to kind of squeeze them and make them fit and I couldn't draw all of them. So I don't know what happened. I just don't know why I wanted so badly to squeeze everything on one page. I do have the whole spread to use, but for some unknown reason, even to me, I just really try to cram everything on one page. So I have no idea why I did it, just call it a brain fart, I guess. However, I'm not super bummed about it because even though there are, body parts missing, you can kind of see and tell what's going on and what the characters are doing, so it's not that big of a deal. I guess I just need to practice, my orientation and space awareness a little bit more. I had this idea in my head of a parent interacting with a kid in some way, maybe like a mom holding the child or playing along with the child. So I'm sketching really quickly a mom and then I'm gonna try and do the kid next to her and see if they can get to interact in some way. Maybe the mom could be pushing like a trolley, maybe? I've got a better idea. How about if the mom was picking up a toddler or like helping the toddler walk? That would be interesting to see if I can get two of them to hold hands, maybe? As in both characters are holding hands, but they are also facing the same way. And before you think I'm such a genius for getting the pose for the adult right on the first go, I didn't. I actually thumbnailed it off camera quite a few times before I was able to actually capture the angle of the body and the arms right to kind of show the idea that I was going for. Could I have done better? Absolutely yes, but you know what? I'll take it because for me poses that are anything but a frontal view are such a struggle, so I'm gonna take it as a win and try to do better in the future. I know the sketching session for today was supposed to be about tiny humans, but I can't just have a bunch of kids hanging around in my sketchbook without any kind of adult supervision, so that's why the mom is here. If you think it's weird that I drew the hands and now I'm trying to draw the second character, the kid, you are right, it is a bit weird, but again, there's a reason for it. It's just simply because I don't trust myself to be able to draw the second character and then make it look like it's naturally interacting with the adult character. So I'm just trying to fit the kid now that I have the first character somehow in place and I like the way it looks. I really like how this pose turned out. It looks like the kid is trying to outrun the mom, like walk really fast and mom is holding it back and making sure it's not gonna fall on its face like kids do, And I'm happy that I was able to capture this idea. Because I am so uninspired when it comes to clothing and especially with children's clothing, I just decided to put the kid in a bunny costume. I'm thinking maybe the mom is taking it out for a trick-or-treat on Halloween. That would be a fun idea, wouldn't it? And that brings me to another idea. What if the mom was in a bunny costume, just like the kid? They were going out together and they were dressed up to match each other. Or maybe I'm just finding excuses for being lazy and not putting more thought into the clothes. I have to admit I'm not very inspired when it comes to outfits for my characters, and they usually just end up wearing something very bland and boring because of that. I don't know about you guys, but I think these full body suits, we call them onesies here in UK, I don't know if they have a different name in other parts of the world, but they are so super adorable. I absolutely love them and I really want one. I can't think of a more comfortable outfit to wear in a cold winter's day than a big fluffy bunny suit. It's just so sweet and adorable, and it's definitely on my next year's birthday list. Shouldn't come as a surprise that me, being the idiot that I am and living under a rock, I had no idea that you can actually buy this kind of outfits. Honestly, I thought these were things that people just draw in anime art because they can. I had no idea you can physically buy them in a store. So that's another party I'm late to because that's what I do. I wanted to explore more this idea of a kid in a costume of some sorts, and defaulting back to my usual frontal view pose and trying to sketch something that maybe can turn into an illustration by the end of this video. I went into this sketching session with the mindset of I must not draw chibis, I must try and draw real kids, you know, like real humans that look somehow human. And oh my, wasn't this a struggle. My experience drawing kids or characters that look somehow like kids, it's basically close to zero. I can only remember one other instance where I specifically tried to draw a kid, and that was because someone commissioned me to draw an original character which was about 14, so it was technically a teenager that I drew. However, I do have my fair share of drawing chibis back in the days when they were popular. I don't know if they're still popular today, they might still be, have no idea. But yeah, I did used to draw a lot of chibis, usually for commissions. So I don't know if drawing chibis can count as practice towards drawing like younger looking characters. Chibis are such a specific kind of art, it's an ageless art. Your characters can be 40 and they would still look like kids in a chibi style kind of a drawing. And that's the reason why I very purposefully try to stay away from drawing chibis or drawing in a style that resembles chibis. I think to some extent I was able to keep to that intention that I had. This sketch turned out a bit odd because the head is bigger than the body. I'm not really happy with the proportions, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sketch this on a different piece of paper. I'm gonna do the line art and then I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, this is the second attempt and I'm way happier with the proportions. A couple of weeks ago, I did a review for the Ohuhu alcohol markers. I got the 24 skin tone set and I did play a bit with them. I did some swatches and a couple of quick sketches, but I didn't really get to play with them properly and do like a full page illustration. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity because the color scheme that I planned for this illustration matches perfectly the colors available in the marker set. I am no expert when it comes to alcohol markers, so I just kind of had to figure it out as I went along with the drawing. My goal with this illustration was to get a soft gradient when shading, and the only way I could think of achieving that was to lay down a flat color and then come afterwards with darker tones and try to blend those colors together. I tried to take advantage of the fact that alcohol markers can be layered to get deeper tones, so I tried to use one marker to apply multiple layers and get that color to be a bit more dark in certain areas. And because I had no clue how I was going to go about this, I just limited my color scheme to 3, maximum 4 colors for each individual item. So for example, for this bear outfit, I'm just using 4 different shades of brown, and I keep going back between one shade and the other to blend the colors together. This technique worked really well. I was super impressed with how easy it was to blend the colors together. The markers are really good. I am very happy with these Ohuhu markers. They perform excellent. One thing I learned about these alcohol markers that was quite a surprise because it went against what I would normally go for when trying to blend colors was the fact that it's easier to blend with the lightest shade, regardless if you are trying to blend, for example, the darkest shade with the mid-tone. For some reason, using the lightest shade to do the transition between the darkest tone and the mid-tone worked way better than just using the mid-tone for that purpose. The reason why I'm saying that this went against my first instinct is because I'm used to painting blending with acrylic colors. So with acrylics you have shade A and shade B, and you use the two together and you create the gradient. So using the lightest shade to blend two darker shades was super weird. It wasn't something I would normally go for or even think to try out, but I'm happy I did get the opportunity to try this technique. It was something very unusual that I've never tried before. And while being on the subject of new discoveries, oh my goodness, I discovered the most amazing paper you can use with alcohol markers. It's called Bristol board. This is a thick, smooth paper that you can use with any other forms of art really, but it works really well with markers because it helps the ink blend and spread evenly, so you don't get the streakiness that you can get with other papers that absorb the ink very fast and does not allow it to flow naturally and blend. Before trying Bristol board, I used my markers in my sketchbook, which have regular paper, you know, for sketching. It does work fine, you can use markers in a sketchbook, but it's so much easier to blend them and to use them when you have a smooth surface. I also try to use marker paper. Winston and Newton make a pad for that, and the paper is supposed to be coated on the back side with something that prevents the markers from bleeding through, which does work, and the paper is smooth and it does help with the blending. But I didn't really like the paper because it was so thin. It's like super transparent and it's very easy to crinkle it by mistake just by holding it or grabbing it too tightly. So I feel Bristol board is kind of like the best option because it behaves like marker paper, but it's very thick, so it preserves the form and it's super easy to store. If you're into alcohol markers and you haven't tried Bristol board yet, I do sincerely recommend it. I think it's the best surface you can use for markers. Back on today's topic, which is drawing original characters which are kids. I feel there isn't really much of an interest in drawing this kind of characters. Perhaps I haven't come across the right channels on YouTube or the right artists, but it does intrigue me. Why is this the case? Why do most people have original characters which are young adults? I would love to see some diversity. I would love to see some characters which are children, which are elderly. That would be really interesting, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't know much about much. So, if you know an artist who posts on Instagram or YouTube art of their original character, which is not your standard typical teenager or young adult, let me know who they are in the comment section below so I can check them out and send some love their way. And if that artist is you, then don't be shy, talk about your art in the comment section. I would definitely love to check it out and see your creations. I have to make a quick disclaimer, and it's super sad and unfortunate that these things happen, and I am in a position where I have to make a disclaimer just so people don't misunderstand my intentions and what I'm trying to say. I am 100% not interested in seeing or hearing or engaging in any kind of conversation about art depicting original characters that are underage in any kind of inappropriate situation. I am a big believer in freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but not when it depicts illegal or inappropriate situations, so please be mindful of what you put in your comments. Alrighty, so I filled in the background off camera because it was taking too long and it was boring, but I think there's not enough contrast between the character and the background, so I'm gonna use my Posca pens just to do an outline of the character to help it pop out. And I also want to use the markers to create some pattern on the outfit, just to make it more interesting. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love polka dots, and I would have anything with polka dots if I could. Obviously, there's a danger of doing too much, so I'm gonna try really hard not to go super crazy with them. I feel like the polka dots are my get out of jail card. Whenever I'm uninspired and I come up with an outfit for my characters that's not really very interesting or doesn't really stand out, I just throw in some polka dots and everything looks so much better. Plus, it's super easy to do and it doesn't require a lot of time, so if you're lazy, it's just a quick solution. However, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And because it's so much fun to throw colorful dots everywhere on the paper, I can get carried away and go overboard with it, so I need to be very careful. That's why I had to limit myself, and I'm only using two markers, a white and a coral pink. And now I'm doing an outline in white just to help the character detach a bit from the background, because the colors are so similar, there isn't much of a contrast between the outfit and the background. This is probably my least favorite part when I'm doing an illustration. For some reason, doing the outline is just so boring. There's just nothing exciting about it. You go over the same lines again and again. If I could skip this part, I would, but it does make a difference. There we have it, the final illustration. I finished the background by adding some white lines just to break the monotony of that solid color. In retrospect, I think I should have gone even darker with the background just to create a bit more contrast. But overall, I think it turned out really cute and I had a lot of fun creating this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and drew along with me. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Take care, bye bye!